Hi, friends. Hey, guys. Hi, guys. How are you? Please let me know if you all can hear me. If you can hear me. Before I start saying hey to everybody, anyway. I am so glad it's Thursday. Hi, guys. Okay, good deal. Thank you, Morgana. So, hey, Miss King. Hello. Hey, C. Morales. Morgana, QB's present and accounted for. Look at this. Look at this. Hey, girl. C. Morales, this time is just flying by. Time is just flying by. Almost a year. Whew. Almost a year. Almost a year. Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys. Probably not Margaret, though. Yeah, she can't hear anything. Hey, Brenda. Hi. Hope you're feeling better. Miss King, a member for 10 months. Wow. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Okay, y'all need another sparkle. We're getting ready to go into Margaret's pocket, so we need some sparkle. And one of these. Oh my gosh. So, anyway, thank you to the members. I appreciate you guys. Brenda said that's crazy. Hey, Rosebud. Good morning to you. We need some gas masks, right? Jeez Louise. I have got a sip or a sup of coffee. It's literally like down here. Oh my God. So we are waiting for the session to start. We are waiting for the session to start. Court will begin soon. You guys, what do we think is going to happen? Do we think Judge Hippler is going to release this gag order? Lift it? What do we think is going to happen? Is this your mug? Probably, maybe. I think this is the one you said you liked because of the color, and it's the one I told you that I bought at Big Lots like 50 years ago. Ooh, Brenda, interesting. Saw the dude try to hijack another car. Oh my God, scary, man. People are crazy. C. Morales, I hope so too. Yeah, Thompson, apparently, I was listening to Anjanette Levy last night on her channel, and she was saying Thompson was like, okay, it's fine with us. And then all of a sudden, Ann's like, no. I mean, of course, she's the one that's going to, Y'all, I have misplaced my seeing my reading eyeglasses. So I've got another pair of reading eyeglasses that I have to wear, and they're bigger than my seeing eyeglasses. So I got my seeing eyeglasses and my reading eyeglasses. Look at this. This is a mess. Lord have mercy, my whole face. Before you know it, I'm going to have a pair of glasses up here and a pair of glasses down here. I'll be 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, like 16 eyes or something. Someone that hand paints. Oh, I know the one you're talking about. It's bigger and it says, fill me up, Lord. That's the one you're talking about. Can't remember if it says fill me up, Lord, or fill my cup, Lord, but one of the other. One or the other. One to other. One to other. I don't need mine anymore. I adulted. Well, yeah, there's that. There's that. You adulted. Thank you, Brenda. That's cool stuff. I love to watch like live camera. Like, oh, what's his name? He does that all the time. Uh, oh, I see camera flickering. What's the dude's name? I love to watch him all the time. He does a lot of like live chases and stuff like that. I forget his name. On YouTube. Somebody spit it out. Somebody spit it out for me. What is this daggone name? Ickmel, that's it. Yes, QB, would not come out of my mouth. Would not come out of my mouth. Couldn't remember it. Y'all, I'm still in my pajamas. I'm in my pajamas. I am. Waiting on this to start. Waiting on this to start. Lived in Plantation just out of Florida. Oh, out of Fort Lauderdale. They got them in Tamarack. Oh, QB, right. Over Karen Reed. I think that's why you stopped watching him, was over Karen Reed. I can't remember. But I love Ickmel. I like him a lot. Ever loving mind. Not as ever loving mind. Pocket time. It is 12:38. Hippler, let's get the show on the road. I want to know. Like C. Morella said, I want to know everything. What do we think's going to happen? Oh, hold on. Hold on, let me make a poll. Let's start a poll. Will Hippler. Hold on. Bum-ba-da-bum. Hold on, I got to get my handy-dandy keyboard out. Will Judge Hippler lift the gag order? Yes or no? Start poll. What do you think? Tell me what you think, babies. Hey, Donnie. I almost did a curse. Why? What did I say? What did I almost say? I don't know that I almost said anything. Did I? I don't know. Did it sound like it? Hi, Donnie. Did I almost say a cursey word? Yeah, you guys, answer the poll question. It's just an easy yes or no. When you said I want to know everything. Well, how did I almost say a curse word? Here we are.
All right, we are on the record in State v. Kohberger, CR 0124-31665. Present today by video is the defendant in custody with counsel, Ms. Taylor, Ms. Barlow, and Ms. Massoth. State is represented by Mr. Thompson, Mr. Hurwitz, and Ms. Jennings. On behalf of the media petitioners, we have Ms. Olson and Mr. Pedersen. Today's hearing is to discuss the media's request to terminate the non-dissemination order. The state filed a response indicating it was no longer objecting to that. And the defense did file an objection indicating that they do have a continued objection to lifting the non-dissemination order. I've read the briefs that have been provided by the parties, and I'm going to attempt to shortcut things here a little bit by asking whether the defense, who is the objecting party, has anything additional to add beyond what it had in its briefing before. I don't know that I need to hear from, frankly, the petitioner. I think the briefing was adequate, so let me just start with Ms. Taylor to see if there's anything else she wants to add.
That's what I think too, QB.
Your Honor, there is not, but if there's further argument, Ms. Barlow will be making that argument on behalf of the defense.
All right. And to be fair, Ms. Wilson, was there anything you felt was important to add that was not contained within your briefing?
Your Honor, we would just briefly say in response to the defendant's brief, we certainly understand the expressed concern about the media coverage of their client. We don't think continuing the non-dissemination order helps that at all. It simply continues to limit the ability of the members of the press to reach out to the people who know the most about the case. It doesn't obligate them to say anything. We also understand that they expressed that there was a due process right to the sentencing. I read the case that they submitted. I think that there is obviously a due process right at sentencing, but I don't think that case is really it doesn't provide any guidance to the court here, because that was about information provided to the court. And given the very limited scope, and we understand it's very important, but given the very limited scope of what's to be decided at the sentencing, we don't think the arguments that Mr. Kohberger made should outweigh at this stage the First Amendment rights of our clients. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. All right, in light of that response by the media outlets or interested outlets, Ms. Barlow, do you want to add anything?
I would only say, Your Honor, as this court is well aware, the publicity in this case is so extensive and emotions are already so high that adding fuel to the fire of media interviews or a rush to interview people as they leave the courthouse or enter the courthouse would only increase the concerns that the defense has. And even though the plea has a specific sentence attached to it, as this court is well aware, things happen in plea hearings and, sentencing hearings. And to minimize the possibility of that, we request that this order stay in place.
All right, thank you. All right, as the court has considered the petition, frankly, the court was prepared at the time the plea was entered to lift the non-dissemination order in order to give the parties time to evaluate that and to ensure I wasn't missing anything. When both sides objected, I agreed to continue the non-dissemination order. I also indicated that I would have the potential to look at that again before sentencing because, frankly, I anticipated the motion from somebody, in this case, the Ms. Olson and her clients, was likely to be coming. At this point, I do not believe the purpose of the non-dissemination order, the primary purpose, which is to ensure that we can seat a impartial jury, is any longer at play. The concerns identified by the defendant, while certainly not to minimize those, they are concerns and they are significant concerns. I do not think, however, the non-dissemination order and the right of the public to information is outweighed or outweighs those rights, I should say. And frankly, I don't think that lifting the non-dissemination order will meaningfully impact those concerns. I mean, the media frenzy, as it has been described, will continue regardless. It is a little bit like water will find low ground. In this case, the media is going to write about something regardless about this case. The lifting the non-dissemination order does not require the counsel or others who were previously bound by it to speak. And the state has indicated that they don't intend to until after the sentencing. And certainly I would hope that the media interests would respect those positions and give people the space that they need and request. In terms of, for example, the defendant's family and others coming and going at the sentencing, we intend to have, as we did before, appropriate security measures in place to ensure that they, as well as the victims, are allowed to get in and out unscathed by the media, if that's what they wish to do, or if they wish to speak to the media, they can do that as well. At this point, I just don't think that I can justify the continuation of the non-dissemination order. I think the rights of the public to information in this case is paramount, given the fact that a plea has been entered in this case, and so I'm going to lift the non-dissemination order. But I want to point out what that means and what it doesn't mean. So obviously nobody's required to speak to the media, first of all. Second of all, I want to be clear that the court's prior preservation order to the parties is not lifted and continues to stay in place. And so it's important to understand that those obligations still exist. And then the other thing I want to point out is that by lifting the non-dissemination order, that does not convert sealed documents to unsealed documents. Documents previously sealed by the court are still sealed. Now, I see the media also filed a petition to be heard to unseal everything. I'm denying that outright. The request to intervene, because I think it's premature at this point. So the court will, its intent is to, after sentencing, begin the process of reviewing all the sealed material in this case to determine what should be unsealed and what should not be unsealed. That process will include an opportunity for counsel to register any objections to unsealing documents, specific documents, and request to redact certain sealed documents before they are unsealed, or unseal them in a redacted form. I intend to do that in groupings of documents at a time. As I sit here now, my thought is I'm going to start from newest to oldest, because those are the ones that I have the most working knowledge of as to the reason for the sealing of the documents, as well as the content of those documents. And so I think I can get through those more quickly. As we move backward in time, it's going to take further or more extensive review by the court to figure out, to obviously review the content of those documents, listen to those hearings, et cetera, and determine why they were sealed and whether that rationale still is necessary, or that rationale still requires the documents to maintain that sealed status. And so before everybody gets out their pen and paper and sends in public records requests, understand those will be denied for sealed records until they are unsealed. And that process is going to take time. And I'm not talking days, and I'm probably not talking weeks for that to be accomplished. So I hope people understand patience will be required to get through that, as I'm going to have to review those myself to make those decisions. Now, we may be able to speed things up if neither party objects to groupings of documents or specific documents being unsealed. But it's important to review those, because those documents may include information that, pursuant to Rule 32, are not to be made public, including birth dates, social securities, information about minors and victims, and information that would be essentially inappropriate to unseal, including protection of individuals from undue harassment, et cetera. And so that's just going to take time. In addition, I'm unlikely to unseal much until after sentencing and after the appeals period has run. Now, I recognize the plea agreement includes a waiver of the right to appeal, but as the parties probably know, the U.S. Supreme Court in Garza versus Idaho has indicated the fact that a defendant waives the right to appeal doesn't mean they don't have the right to appeal. And so it may affect the outcome of that appeal, and it may affect the underlying case and the plea agreement, but nonetheless, the right to appeal does not go away because of the waiver. And so I think it's important for that time period to also play itself out to see that it goes the way that I think people intend and expect it to. And so I will be entering an order in the next week or so outlining the process for the review of the sealed records. And counsel will need to maintain a presence in the case in order to review those materials as they are proposed to be unsealed by the court. Because the timeline that I will likely give you will not be, I suspect, extensive as for each group of records. So I might give you 14 days, for example, to provide a response as to a group of, a dozen or a couple dozen records at a time. So just sort of heads up and fair play with respect to that. Any questions by the parties about the ruling today?
Not from the state, Your Honor. Thank you.
No questions from the defense. Thank you.
Ms. Olson, do you have any questions?
And I don't, Your Honor. I wasn't certain if I was included within the parties. I would just say I think that the court's proposed manner of moving forward on the sealed records will likely largely address our interests, and we appreciate the court setting that out in this hearing today.
Yeah. If certain records after review maintain their sealed status, it would be at that point that I would entertain requests for me to consider that more formally and to have a voice in that. But I think until I've gone through that process, it's premature, which is why I don't intend to take up your motion, your more recent filed motion at this time. So,
Thank you, Your Honor. We appreciate that.
all right. And with that, then we are adjourned. Thank you. I'll see you next week.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, we'll re-listen to that part because I was a little confused too. I did hear somebody say that, but I don't know how true that is. Let's rewind it a little
And
bit.
patients will be required to get, before they are unsealed, or unseal them in a redacted form. I intend to do that in groupings of documents at a time. As I sit here now, my thought is I'm going to start from newest to oldest because those are the ones that I have the most working knowledge of. Sealing of the document, more extensive review by the court to figure out whether that rationale still is necessary, or that rationale still requires the documents to maintain that sealed status. And so before everybody gets out there, it may include information that it's Social Security information that essentially inappropriate to unseal, including protection of individuals from undue harassment, et cetera. And so that's just going to take time. In addition, I'm unlikely to unseal much until after sentencing and after the appeals period has run. Now, I recognize the plea agreement includes a waiver of the right to appeal, but as the parties probably know, the U.S. Supreme Court in Garza versus Idaho has indicated the fact that a defendant waives the right to appeal doesn't mean they don't have the right to appeal. And so it may affect the outcome of that appeal, and it may affect the underlying case and the plea agreement, But nonetheless, the right to appeal does not go away because of the waiver. And so I think it's important for that time period to also play itself out.
Okay, I don't understand that. He basically said just because you waive the right to appeal doesn't mean you don't get to appeal. I don't know what that means. I mean, does he get to turn around in 5 minutes and say, "Oh, by the way, I'm not guilty"? That I was kidding. You know what I'm saying? Like, no takesy backsies, or you know what I mean? I don't get it. I don't know what that means. QB said, but I think it's only if there's something like ineffectiveness of counsel or something like that. I don't know. I have no idea. Hey, Chantel. He's saying you can appeal everything after you waived your right. I don't know. It doesn't make sense. But, I mean, that's the whole legal system, right? We don't understand all of the things. So if something happens after you waived, then you can appeal. I guess. I don't know. I mean, let's face it. I don't think that he'll ever see the light of day, period. You know? And if he was to ever come up for, if there were ever to be an appeal, they would have to have solid proof that he did not do it. Like solid as a rock proof that he did not do it in order for anything to go through. Miss King said, I think this type of thing is why the dad is so upset. No appeals, but yet there is an appeals. Maybe life won't be life, right? Yeah. Also, I mean, he's going to lift the gag order, but the documents, like he said, aren't going to be all unsealed. He's going to use his own discretion whether something should or should not be unsealed. And I can understand certain things being redacted, obviously, the normal things, birthdays, social security numbers, minor information, that kind of thing. But yeah, I don't know. Sounds like he's just going to filter through and let things out a little at a time. Brenda said, right, but can you imagine those poor families always living on edge, wondering? I know. Waiting for the other shoe to drop, right? Chantel said, if they figure something out after that he didn't know before he took the plea, yes, he can appeal. Rosebud wants that confession out there. Well, I mean, is there a confession other than what he did? You know what I'm saying? I don't know that there actually is a written or videoed confession other than what he specified and what he said in court, you know? I don't know. Sad, sad, sad. But I'm glad that he's lifting the gag order because that means that folks can talk, you know? So I'm assuming there's going to be a lot of stuff coming out soon. You know, a lot of interviews and stuff with different, even law enforcement. You know, if the gag order is lifted, then anybody can say, they can talk. Hey, Gail. Yes, ma'am. I started at 12:30. 12:30. Hold on, let me go back up to the other comments. Yeah, QB, there's supposedly one. But is it confirmed? You know, I'm waiting on it. I'm waiting on it, or one like videoed or audio recorded, or even a written. I'd be fine with a written. In the Garza case that he references, A. Garza took an Alford plea, so he continued to say he was innocent. Seems very different than this situation. Yeah. Did they give this deal because Thompson is retiring and has never lost a case? He was afraid his last case, this big, he could possibly lose. I don't know. I heard a while ago, a couple weeks ago or a week or so ago, that Thompson had apparently isn't a fan of death penalty. I don't know. I don't know. And that's why he did that, but I think that was just speculation. I think it was Jennifer Coffindaffer that I heard say that. Oh, you were stalking Discord. Oh. Yeah, I know, QB. Is the eye roll about Thompson and the death penalty thing, or Jennifer Coffindaffer? I don't know. QB has words. QB has words. Well, I mean, I'm just waiting for YouTube to blow up with the interview, because the media is going to be reaching out to the different law enforcement and stuff. Going to be reaching out to them. They're going to be reaching out to all the different people that may have some information, Hey, Laura, you just woke up. Well, here's what happened. Judge Hippler said the gag order is lifted. However, all of the sealed documents won't automatically be unsealed. He's going to decide which ones can be unsealed, and those that will be unsealed aren't going to all come out like tomorrow. He said it may be, he said it won't be in days, and it probably won't be in the next few weeks. So, and he's going to start from new documents and go back to the old ones. Start with the new and then go through to the old. I love that you can read my mind via emojis. Honey, I love to speak in emojis and GIFs. You know that. She's crazy. She also thinks a car killed Officer John. Yeah. Yeah. I know. But I do like her. I don't know. It's like Nancy Grace. I don't always agree with all of her things, but I still love her like I love Nancy Grace. I didn't watch her concerning Karen Reed. The only thing I've really watched her concerning is Sebastian Rogers. Hello, Sugars. Hello, Sugars. Oh, is that Dumbo in your picture, Gail? I love Dumbo. Is that Dumbo? I think it's Dumbo. When is this interview with KB scheduled to be debuted? We need to know everything before Bryan talks. I don't know. Oh, it's special to you. Oh, I love Dumbo. I was going to say, who's KB, Rosebud? I was like, wait a minute, who's KB? I was thinking, and then I did think, you just was like, shortening it to Kohberger, but. And I don't know when or if there will be an interview with Kohberger. What they mentioned the other day, a few days ago, we found out was false information about an interview with Kohberger. That was not true. It was a whole lie. Yeah. And they even said something about the interview was going to be scheduled for November 13th, which I thought was disgusting. Whoever came up with that. Close the poll. Whoever came up with that little nugget was gross. I hope the judge sends it on record during sentencing that he cannot profit off his story, just like they did with Daryl Brooks. Yeah. Yeah, I know, Brenda, because November 13th is the day that the murders happened. So it would have been like on an anniversary. Sick. People are sick. Let me go close zip hole. Let me close zip hole. All right. End zip hole. Let's see what you all said. Will Judge Hippler lift the gag order? 78% of you said yes. 21% of you said no. Aaron Spencer. No, who's that? Who's Aaron Spencer? Idaho has a mixed Son of Sam law. There can be profit, but it would go to restitution, as far as I understand it. Yeah. I heard about that. Or I read about that too. I wasn't positive if that was the truth, but that's what I heard. And I don't remember where I heard that. He unalived his daughters, kidnapped. Oh, is he the one that killed his 3 daughters? Oh, wait. Okay, no. I misunderstood. No. Okay, he unalived his daughter's kidnapper and predator. She was 13 at the time. I didn't hear about that. I did not hear about that. I didn't hear about that either, Rosebud. I saw a story. Let me look for it real quick. Let me see. It may not be very long. I'm not sure. Hold on, I have to cough. I might have to get a cough drop. Hold on, let me get one. Let me give you all some what do you call it? ASMR of me opening my cough drop. Could you hear that? Pre-trial. Is it really my ears this time, or can I not hear Jenny? Can you not hear me? Can you hear me now? Hold on, let me see if hold on a minute. It went to my daggone computer microphone instead of my other one. And I was trying to do ASMR with my cough drop. I went like this. Is it any better now? It should be better. You don't like that, QB? Well, then how in the world do you watch diamond painting unboxings? I'd love to know. It's me opening up a cough drop, Margaret. Okay, so let me go look for what I was looking for. What was I looking for? I remember what I was looking for. Hold on, I gotta go find it. Has anyone seen any information regarding that husband that killed his wife? I can't remember what state it was in. The mom to a coffle bot. They had that little baby together, and she up and disappeared. She was a pediatric, or no, what? She was a nurse or a doctor. Now put it in the printer so we can hear what that sounds like. Y'all are crazy. Videos. Okay, let me go look and see. Where was it? Let me find it. Where was it? Where was it? Where was it? Mm. Okay, I'm close. I'm close. Hold on. Okay, here it is. Here it is. Hold on. This was about a week ago.
This teenage girl allegedly killed her parents in a case that.
Okay, this teen cried on TikTok after killing her parents. It was in Virginia, Miss King. Laura, about the mom to a coffle bot, that young wife and mom who was either a doctor or a nurse. I can't remember which. And her husband, what was his name? I can't. Naresh or something like that. She disappeared, and they have come to the conclusion he's been arrested for her murder, even though they hadn't found her body yet. But anyway, I think he. You want me to tell you what I think? I think he. Trigger warning, dismembered her. That's what I think. And I think he took her remains to different parts of different places. That's what I think happened. But I'm waiting to hear if any information, about like a trial or anything. Okay, so here, let me share this tab. So this is something I came across the other day. I was wanting to watch this. Teen cried on TikTok after killing her parents. There's a couple more videos after this. I don't know. But let me start this real quick.
That had gone unsolved for. This teenage girl allegedly killed her parents in a case that had gone unsolved for months. That is until this week. Her parents were found shot dead inside their home in February. Their 6-year-old daughter found them. But you will not believe the next part. We sure couldn't. The alleged teen killer spoke at the funeral for her parents at their church.
Although there's nothing we can do to bring them back, we still have control over how we treat people.
And then let's talk about the TikTok account that we found. Just wait until I show you what she said about her family and this case on social media. We're on the case presented by Law and Crime. I'm Chris Stewart. I will tell you, this story made our jaws drop when police in Georgia this week announced they had made an arrest in the case of a murdered couple that had gone unsolved since February. Here's a picture of that couple, James and Kristen Brock. They lived in Carrollton, Georgia. It's a little more than an hour's drive south of Atlanta. This couple, they were beloved members of their community, devoted churchgoers, and they also had a 6-year-old daughter together. In fact, James posted this on Facebook on February 19th, saying, quote, "When I'm down and don't feel good, I find comfort in this little girl." Police say he was murdered within the next 24 hours of that post. Reportedly, it was that little girl, who was 5 at the time, who found him and her mom, Kristen, after they had been shot. It was on February 20th that law enforcement.
Lord have mercy. A little bitty baby, a little bitty 5-year-old finds them. Oh my God. Lord have mercy.
Enforcement responded to this home in Carrollton and found the Brocks shot. They were both in their bed. This case went unsolved for months. Kristen's dad, in the days after the murders, offered $5,000 for information that would lead police to the killer. He told the Atlanta Journal-Constitution that these murders, whoever did them, quote, was cold-blooded. This week, police announced that they know who the killer is, and it was someone he knew very well.
Today, we can confirm that an arrest has been made in the case. Kristen Brock's 17-year-old daughter, Sarah Grace Patrick, has been taken into custody and charged with 2 counts of murder and 2 counts of aggravated assault.
Here's the mugshot of the alleged killer, Sarah Grace Patrick. Her mugshot was given to us by the Carroll County Sheriff. Sarah Grace was 16 years old at the time that she allegedly shot and killed her mom and stepdad. And she was very active on social media, and it is shocking what I'm about to show you. Here are pictures that we found on her social media with her boyfriend, and wow, when I talk about social media, that is a shocking part of this story. I'll get more to that in just a moment. Here's what we know about Sarah Grace. According to law enforcement, she lived in the home at the time of the murders, but had moved around with different family members within the last couple of years. But on the night of the Brocks murders, she was the one who called 911. I actually saw someone comment on social media that it was suspicious after gunshots went off in the house that it was the 5-year-old who would find their parents dead and then reportedly have to alert the teenager inside the home that something was wrong. Sarah Grace was 16 years old at the time that law enforcement say she killed her mom and stepdad. She's now 17. In cases like this, typically we search through TruthFinder to see if the suspect has any previous charges or if there's anything we can learn, because she's James and Kristen Brock's background, and neither of them appear to have criminal records, which just speaks to that on top of the beloved members of the community that so many people say that they were. At Law and Crime, we partner with TruthFinder, and we can be searched to %/OTC.
Working with her.
When you scan the QR code on your screen or use the link below. Here's what law enforcement said when they were asked about an alleged motive.
We are still working with her diligently. Our investigators have been speaking with her.
It is correct that she was the one who made the 911 call, correct?
Yes.
At what point did investigators begin to focus on her as the suspect?
So I believe in the beginning of any case, everyone's a suspect. I think I told many of you that when we were on scene that day. However, as an investigation continues and everything ebbs and flows, like I said in my press release, mountains of evidence has gotten us through here today. Lots of processing, lots of working with our law enforcement partners to get us to where we are today that honed in on her as a suspect.
As police are still searching for a reason Sarah Grace would allegedly do this, it's important to note that Sarah was public about the loss of her parents. She even spoke at their funeral. Look at this video per WSB TV.
Although there's nothing we can do to bring them back, we still have control over how we treat people.
We were shocked with what we saw specifically on her TikTok. She presented herself as a victim, a young girl who lost her parents to senseless violence. But again, as you watch these, law enforcement say she's the one who did it. Look at this post. This is from March 1st, just weeks after she allegedly killed her mom and stepdad in their sleep. She posts a tribute video to them with the caption, quote, "They don't know it, but a year from now, me and my 5-year-old sister would find them wrongfully shot dead in our home and won't get to watch me graduate high school, see me walk down the aisle, and couldn't even say goodbye." Here's a video of her crying. This was posted on March 18th, less than a month after.
Wait, what? She posted that a year before? Is that what he just said? They don't know it, but a year from now? Did she forget? Is that what I just heard? Hold on a minute. They don't know it, but a year from now, me and my 5-year-old sister would find them wrongfully shot dead in our home and won't get to watch me graduate high school, see me walk down the aisle, and couldn't even say goodbye. Okay. Okay, wait. Oh, it's a trend on TikTok. Okay. That was really confusing for a second.
Watch me graduate high school, see me walk down the aisle, and couldn't even say goodbye. Here's a video of her crying. This was posted on March 18th, less than a month after she allegedly killed her parents with the caption, quote, "Please send prayers for healing and a break from everything. I'm so tired, I should probably delete later." And here's a picture from a TikTok on Mother's Day this year in May with Kristen, who she allegedly murdered, with the caption, "But my ultimate inspiration comes from my best friend." And here she is crying, heading to the funeral of the 2 people she allegedly killed. She also has this picture that reads, "What do you mean I can't call my mom?" And then there's this one that says, quote, "Why me?" Now, these are incredibly sad, but then you have to remember that law enforcement says they have a mountain of evidence that shows she is the one who did this. At the same time, she also appears to have continued to live her life beyond the alleged cover-up that she killed 2 people. Just a week ago, she posted this video from a beach. In their news conference, law enforcement said that Sarah Grace turned herself in after she was told that she was going to be.
Okay, and also here the arrest video or the arrest mugshot here, she looks like she's 12 years old, and in the other videos, she looks like she's 18 or 19. Like if I post a video of all of us and I say they don't know it, but in 10 minutes they're going to be in my back pocket. Yeah.
Charged with the murders of the Brocks. Her biological father, law enforcement say, drove her to the station. The sheriff's office also said there was a, quote, mountain of evidence that ties her to these murders, but they wouldn't go deeper into that at this point. As for the little girl, the Brock's daughter, the half-sister of their alleged killer, the now 6-year-old girl who allegedly found her parents dead in their bed, law enforcement says she is now living with family members. Joining us now to talk about this case is retired crime scene investigator Alina Burrows. Thank you for joining us on Law and Crime. There's a lot to unpack here. It was shocking to hear that a 17-year-old, she was 16 at the time, would allegedly kill her mom and stepdad, and then to see the social media. So there's a lot of places we could.
If she is home sleeping or if she's somewhere else, obviously she's home during these times, so the phone is going to confirm that. But more importantly,
Okay, I just wanted to show that little bit about that, but then there is another one. Hold on. There was another video. Let me find it. Okay, here we go. Let me open this one and share it.
More to tell you regarding the teen girl who was arrested this week for allegedly killing her mom and stepdad in Georgia in February. Her name is Sarah Grace Patrick, and she didn't just post on TikTok mourning the loss of her parents, she did a lot more.
Why would you ask me to cover a case where you are going to get arrested for taking your parents' lives?
It turns out she also reached out to several crime creators on TikTok, encouraging them to look into the case. One of those creators is going to join me to talk about what Sarah Grace Patrick told her and the chilling comments she left on her account that you just have to see. We're on the case presented by Law and Crime. I'm Chris Stewart.
Oh, have a great day, Rosebud. Have a great day.
Before I get to this update involving the Sarah Grace Patrick case in Georgia, which is a huge story that we've been following, I also have a huge announcement to make for those of you who love to watch police body camera videos. Patrick, I've found 3 TikTok creators who say that Sarah Grace Patrick reached out to them for them to cover the murders of her mom and stepdad. Now, this is the same Sarah Grace Patrick who this week was arrested by Carroll County Sheriff's deputies and is now accused and charged in those murders. She is now 17 years old, and deputies say that she killed her mom and stepdad by shooting them as they lay in their beds in the middle of the night on February 20th. Now, Sarah Grace was also the one who called 911. And not only that, she says that her then 5-year-old sister found her parents, Kristen and James Brock, shot dead. Just think about that. Sarah Grace also claims that it was her little sister who then alerted her, and then she alerted the authorities. But now we know that was allegedly a lie. Sarah Grace posted this on TikTok saying the loss of her parents hit her when, quote, "I see my 5-year-old sister screaming, crying for her mommy and daddy." I can't say it enough. Sarah Grace is the one who is now charged and accused of being the person who killed that little girl's mom and dad. Sarah has also posted about needing help with her mental health and needing to call a hotline for that and being depressed. So we are working to learn more about her mental health history as that part of the case carries on. But before I get you caught up on the social media part of this story, and that is a huge part of this story, I want you to know about the victims, James and Kristen Brock. And from what we have seen, members of their community love them. Their family loved them. They loved their faith. They were avid churchgoers in Carrollton, Georgia, a small, quiet town where stuff like this rarely happens. James and Kristen, they were a blended family as well. They were parents to that young little girl and the mom and stepdad to Sarah Grace Patrick. In the days, weeks, and months after the murders, Sarah was very vocal on social media, specifically on TikTok. She posted these videos, montages within days of the murders, memorializing her parents. This one says that she sleeps so she can see her mom, Kristen, who she allegedly killed. Other images show her crying with makeup running down her face, asking how someone could take her mom and stepdad away, people who she loved so much. She was a regular commenter also on posts and stories related to the murders that she allegedly committed, accepting plenty of thoughts and prayers. You can see on this one, she replies less than a month after she allegedly killed her parents with, quote, "I love you, thank you." On top of that, Sarah Grace spoke at her parents' funeral at their church. This is per WSB TV.
Although there's nothing we can do to bring them back, we still have control over how we treat people.
But we have found it goes deeper than that. She appears to have taken the initiative to reach out to TikTokers who cover true crime, encouraging them to research, report, and talk about the murders that she is now accused of committing, as if she was someone looking for justice for her parents.
Y'all, this is Sarah Grace, and she messaged me back on June 3rd and just said, search up Brock case.
This is the account called Allegedly Reportedly. It has more than 130,000 followers. Not only did Sarah Grace reach out to this account, she left some chilling comments. Look at this.
And she commented, thank you for spreading awareness. She also replied to this person who asked what was used in this crime, and she answered.
She answers with an emoji of a gun. These comments also are just within the last month. Now, it is unclear as far as the investigation's concerned whether or not law enforcement has that murder weapon and whether it's been recovered, but that's not the only comment. Look at this one.
This person commented and said, from an investigative standpoint, it would seem that it was someone who knew them, hoping for answers and swift justice. Sarah Grace, the daughter and stepdaughter of these victims who has now been arrested, said most definitely was, since they knew the house.
That was on June 9th. And allegedly reportedly wasn't the only account that Sarah Grace contacted. This is from the account Jade Talks Crime.
TikToker Sarah Grace Patrick, age 17, reached out to me to tell me that she wanted me to research the case.
She also apparently spoke with this creator on the phone as recently as last month.
So Sarah reached out to me on Sunday, and we spoke on the phone, and we spoke via text. And she asked me to speak on her behalf about the night of 2/20/25.
Here's what Sarah Grace allegedly told TikToker Kelly Brown.
Sarah has confirmed that she was awake the night of the incident and heard nothing out of the normal. Those are her words, nothing out of the normal. But she did hear James's LVAD machine, which is his heart machine that kept his heart pumping. She did hear that alarm going off throughout the night. So those are the two things that she wanted me to share with you guys.
According to the Carroll County Sheriff's Office, James had survived major heart surgery and he may have been in need of a heart transplant, but he was a fighter, and a tragic part of this story is that his life was cut short this way. Not only did Sarah Grace post on TikTok about her parents like this one on Mother's Day, she also would post images as if she was continuing to live her life. It was just a week ago. She posted this from what appears to be a trip to the beach for the 4th of July. Deputies say even though Sarah Grace was 16 at the time she killed her mom and stepdad, she's now 17 years old. She is facing charges as an adult. She is facing 2 counts of first-degree murder and 2 counts of assault. Another part of this story that we're watching is deputies say that more arrests are possible in this case.
So speaking of more arrests are possible, I found this one from Law and Crime as well. Hold on, let me share this with you.
Law enforcement says there is a mountain of evidence that makes the case.
Hold on.
Law enforcement says there is a mountain of evidence that makes the case that a 17-year-old who mourned her parents publicly on TikTok is actually their killer. And just clarification on that, would you say you're interviewing potential suspects in this case?
We are interviewing potential suspects and anyone that we feel may have information.
The spokesperson of the Carroll County Sheriff's Office tells us what red flags stood out to investigators early on in this investigation, months before Sarah Grace Patrick was arrested, now accused of murder. We're on the case presented by Law and Crime. I'm Chris Stewart. Hey, before we get started with this episode of On the Case, I want to make an announcement, and it's for all of you who love watching police body Patrick. She is now accused of killing, even though Sarah Grace Patrick was cooperative in the investigation and publicly was calling for attention to be brought to this case that went unsolved for months. Law enforcement says she is the one who killed James and Kristen Brock.
Today, we can confirm that an arrest has been made in the case. Kristen Brock's 17-year-old daughter, Sarah Grace Patrick, has been taken into custody and charged with 2 counts of murder and 2 counts of aggravated assault.
That was the news conference this week where law enforcement made the shocking announcement that Sarah Grace Patrick was going to be accused in these murders. And what makes it so shocking is the social media that has since gone viral as people are now looking through what Sarah Grace Patrick apparently said on apps like TikTok. I'll talk about that in just a moment. I'll also tell you why Sarah Grace Patrick's grandfather told me he's pushing back on some of the things that were said in that news conference. We'll get to that in just a moment. But let's talk about what we know when it comes to Sarah Grace Patrick, who is now an accused killer. She was 16 at the time of these murders. She lived in the house with her mom, Kristen, her stepdad, James, and their now 6-year-old daughter, her half-sister. Her biological parents were the Brocks. Sarah Grace spent time with the Brocks. That's where she lived. But she also spent time with her biological dad, who law enforcement tells us was with her during interviews with law enforcement throughout the investigation. In fact, he was the one who drove her to the sheriff's office so she could be arrested after she was told that there were going to be warrants out for her arrest related to the murders of her mom and stepdad. Sarah Grace Patrick's arrest did come as this huge shock to so many people, partly because of the social media and the digital footprint that it appears that she left behind. She started posting TikToks in the days, weeks, and months after the murders, memorializing her mom and stepdad. And she also posted videos like this showing her crying with makeup running down her face. She spoke at her parents' funeral at their church. Here's a clip of what she said per WSB TV. Reportedly on TikTok, not only does she have the direct make an arrest, so they honed in on his granddaughter. You can find our full conversation in yesterday's episode of
Then there's not much I can do at this point. I don't know what else to say. I mean,
who's the communications director for the Carroll County Sheriff, about that and the other red flags that stood out to investigators during the investigation. Here's our conversation. Joining us now is the Director of Communications for the Carroll County Sheriff's Office, Ashley Holsey. Thank you for taking the time to be with us. I know it's been a busy week. For people who have just started following this story with word of Sarah Grace's arrest this week, take us back to, if we can, to February 20th, what you remember about that day and where the story really began.
February 20th, we got a call out to the residents in the community of Tyus, a very small community outside of the city of Carrollton here in Carroll County, to two deceased victims. Once on scene, it was apparent that they had been shot to death. And of course, the investigation began at that time. We'd received a 911 call from the now 17-year-old daughter, Sarah Patrick, who stated that her younger sister, who was 5 at the time, who is the biological daughter of both victims, had found them deceased in their bed that morning.
How would you characterize Sarah's involvement in the investigation?
I have not personally been dealing with her, but what I can say based on investigator statements is, they interviewed her initially. They've spoken with her 2 or 3 times, obviously, throughout the course of the investigation. And then again, prior to her arrest earlier this week, her father has been a very active role in that as well. But she has, and the family has, been cooperative. We just don't believe she has been truthful.
What about her statements did investigators not find truthful when she started to become a suspect in this?
When we arrived on scene on February 20th and obviously saw these deceased victims who had been shot multiple times, this is a very rural area of Carroll County. There's not a lot of ambient noise and things going on in that area. Very small home that they lived in. When the smallest child, who was forensically interviewed as well through this process, said she heard the gunshots, but the 17-year-old or 16-year-old at the time did not hear the gunshots, that was cause for pause for us early on. But again, throughout the course of the investigation, we had to look at all aspects of the case and follow where the evidence took us. And here we are.
And I know earlier this week you called the evidence against Sarah at this point that your investigators have a quote, mountain of evidence. But it did take almost 6 months to bring her under arrest. It sounds like she was, investigators, the red flags may have been going off pretty early on in the investigation. I know her grandfather just made a statement. I saw it on News Nation, something along the lines of, if investigators had evidence, they would have, and it appears he's standing by her, they would have investigated her sooner. Why did it take so long, if you do have this mountain of evidence, to arrest Sarah Grace Patrick?
I feel for her grandfather. I can't imagine being in his shoes and having my grandchild or child in that situation. However, as I'm sure you know, just covering crime stories throughout your career, things don't happen overnight. And when I say mountains of evidence, in the world we live in today, not only do we have forensic evidence, geographical evidence, and digital evidence, those things take time to send the search warrants off, get those returns, have the people sort through those, have the investigators look at what could be pertinent information. And unfortunately, crime labs throughout the United States are backed up. These things do not come to us as soon as we submit them. So the other thing is I think law enforcement gets a bad rap sometimes for rush to judgment. So had we immediately locked her up, I think it would be the other side of the coin where they would say, oh, they rushed to judgment and didn't thoroughly investigate the case. So I stand behind the investigation that we performed at the Carroll County Sheriff's Office. I think they did their due diligence. I think they ruled out other suspects throughout this process as well. So I think this is where it has led us. The evidence has brought us to Sarah Grace.
What do we know about motive at this point?
We're still working on that. Still working on it.
Do you have the murder weapon?
I can't comment on that.
And is she being cooperative now?
So since her arrest on Tuesday, I have not heard any new information from investigators. Obviously, I've been really busy with getting out the information that we released in the press conference, so I'm unable to speak to that at this time.
Has she confessed?
The investigators are working with her diligently.
And I know there's been a lot of talk since her name was announced as the person arrested for these murders, a lot of talk about her social media, especially the TikToks. And she was very active. She was reaching out to creators, asking them to bring awareness to this case. What do you make of that?
You know, I've said this a couple of times. Social media is a platform for a lot of different things. And it seems the younger generation especially wants to put every aspect of their life on social media. So when that happens, it becomes fair game in an investigation like this. And of course, our investigators have been watching the social media as well and continue to trail what is left behind after the arrest. So I would say it has played a role in this investigation also.
How often was she communicating with investigators over the past 6 months?
I would not be able to give you a number on that. I just know that she has been speaking with them throughout the course of this investigation.
Another part that's caught a lot of people's attention was her speaking at the funeral for her mom and stepdad. And I mean, she's very emotional. She's crying. I mean, I don't know what it's like to lose a parent, of course. But was there anything she said during that just stood out to you?
So I did not personally attend the funeral. As I've stated before, anytime we have something horrific like this happen in our community, our investigators are going to attend the funeral, not only to provide emotional support to the grieving family who have lost two family members, but also in this case, not having the arrest by the time the funeral came, just seeing if anything did tilt your head or make you pause while you were there. And for me, watching it online, I wasn't there in person. You know, I don't know if she had real tears. I can't feel that emotion necessarily through watching it online. However, I think, you know, it was more like a speech. It was very scripted. And then at the end, you know, she said, and I'm sorry. Now, she may have been sorry because she was showing emotion possibly throughout that eulogy, if you want to call it that. But she also could have said it meaning something deeper. We just may never know exactly what she meant by that, but it did raise my eyebrows.
What do we know about any documented mental health history that she's had?
I cannot speak to that at this time.
I know another part of your news conference that has a lot of talk is the idea that there could be more arrests. What did you mean by that?
So basically, throughout this course of the investigation and working with Sarah, investigators have been speaking with her throughout. It's very possible that others are involved. whether they had knowledge or whether they assisted. We're still investigating that aspect. We're still conducting interviews this week. So even though an arrest has been made and we're grateful to bring some closure to the family, as tough as that may be for them, we still have a lot of work to do. And our main goal is to provide full justice for those victims and closure for the families.
And just clarification on that, would you say you're interviewing potential suspects in this case?
We are interviewing potential suspects and anyone that we feel may have information.
And what would you like people who may have communicated with Sarah Grace, and we've talked to some of the TikTok influencers who had communicated with her online when she had reached out. When you're looking for more information, what specifically are you looking for from someone who may have communicated with Sarah Grace Patrick?
So I have said this throughout this week as well, and I'm very thankful for you giving me this platform to be able to come on and speak about this because, you know, we have conversations thousands of times a day with different individuals, right? So there may be someone out there, whether it's someone local here in our community, someone that was friends with Sarah or her family, that may have had conversations throughout the course of this investigation. And now that this has come to light that Sarah is in custody, maybe those conversations mean something different now. And if that's the case and you feel like you may hold a piece of that puzzle that will help bring continued closure for this family, then I urge anyone with that information, even if they think it's insignificant in the grand scheme of things, it could be big for us. Please contact the Carroll County Sheriff's Office and speak to us about this. If Sarah has reached out to you or you've had conversations with her that maybe doesn't sit right with you now, please reach out to us.
And just in the course of your investigation, and I know, you know, you said the family has been cooperative, and I just think about what they're going through, not just the loss, but having to process all of this. What did people say about the relationship that Sarah had with her mom and stepdad?
Unfortunately, I couldn't tell you firsthand information because I have not personally spoken to the families. I, just like everybody else, the investigators have been talking to them, but I've kind of been watching their reactions through social media. So I don't have personal knowledge of what their thoughts or feelings are other than what I have seen myself on social media.
So yeah, this sounds like it's going to be a crazy case. Megan says might as well add the little sister to her list of victims because she'll never recover from that. I know. I can't imagine a kid that age finding something like that. Oh my God. Greta, hey Greta, says, wow, I'm a little behind, but Carrollton is not far from me and I've not heard of this case. Well, it's on Law and Crime. You can rewind it a little bit because, well, yeah, you can rewind it a little bit because I showed a couple other videos. Law and Crime has 3 or 4 videos about this, along with an interview with her grandfather. So, definitely worth checking out. Have to keep our eyes open for this one and see. And as far as potential other suspects, yeah, I'm thinking, you know, boyfriend or something like that. I don't know. But you guys, I'm going to go ahead and hop out of here. It is almost 2 p.m. Eastern time. Husband is home. He's on, his work is on shutdown this week. So he's home. And I'm going to go and get some other work done. And plan to see you guys back. If anything pops up tomorrow, I'll spark a stream up. If not, it'll be on Monday. So I hope that you guys have a great rest of your day today and a great upcoming weekend. All right. Thanks for joining. Make sure to hit that thumbs up before you leave. Subscribe if you're new. Click that notification bell. And if you're watching on a replay, put a hashtag replay in the comments. I would appreciate it. Love you guys, and I'll see you next time. Bye.